The next topic coming up is all around cloud analytics, which is a very prominent topic at the moment.
Kyle, thank you for the introduction, and what a great presentation by Thomas. Really enjoyed the power of analytics. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and jump into my topic without taking any more time. Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are all having a great time in whatever time zones you're in. I'm so excited and delighted to, have talking to you guys today about my talk on the cloud analytics. I'm going to start with a quick agenda on what I'm going to cover in my talk today. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, just a little bit, a quick introduction about what I've been doing. What is the evolution of analytics? What are some of the challenges the businesses are seeing with the power of analytics nowadays? How are businesses tackling those problems and performing analytics? What are some of the benefits of performing analytics in cloud? What are drivers for the successful implementation? What are some of the gotchas and things to look for? And then I'll just conclude with a quick summary of my talk. So just like Kyle, I go by multiple different names. Some people call me Vikas, some people call me Vikas. So it's again the power of data, right? The data can be interpreted many different ways. This is analytics on my name, right? I've been in 17 years of experience in the data analytics space. I've pretty much done all of my career in data so far. In my recent role, I'm working as a senior manager in a data intelligence team over in T-Mobile here, US. For the last 3 years, I've been focusing primarily and solely on managing a massive scale cloud analytics platform. At my personal front, I'm a big Seahawks fan. As you can see from my picture, I'm a big guy and a big fan, both. And you guys can reach me out through my LinkedIn profile. I just want to have a quick disclaimer that all the talk I'm going to talk about today is about my personal learnings and experiences working in this space, and this doesn't represent anything related to T-Mobile in any ways. Moving on to the next slide. I think we will all agree the data is now the most valuable asset in today's world. You go and talk to anybody on the road, you go and talk to any business leader, you go and talk to any technology leader. Everybody talks about data. We keep hearing about data as the new ocean. We keep hearing about data as the new oil. We keep hearing about, hey, how can we make more value from the data? How can we make data more relevant? How can we drive more business analytics and more business decisions from the data? And that is actually evolved a lot into how does analytics evolve over the last many years. Studying and working in this data space for quite a long time, we all have been doing analytics in one way or another. We all used to do traditional reporting. We used to create a daily dashboard. We used to look at the trend for what has happened on our network yesterday, to how many customers we added to our business yesterday, to how customers are having the experience yesterday, to the things we want to do now. We want to look at the analytics now. We want to make the real-time decisions. I think Thomas talked about how they're leveraging the analytics to make some critical business driver decisions today. So that has evolved a lot into things now. With the power of machine learning, advanced analytics, and artificial intelligence, and a lot more mature technologies now, analytics have gone multiple steps forward if the issue has happened, right? If the customer was supposed to get a particular notification, but the notification did not go in time, and what was the reason for the anomaly? Since we are talking about cloud today, how can I forecast my cloud spend, right? How can I spend my forecast on how much I'm going to spend on a service next month, I'm going to spend on service tomorrow, to more advanced features of building a recommendation engine. We all use Netflix, we all use a lot of different streaming platforms, and they use a lot of power of analytics and data to provide you recommendation on what are the movie you want to watch today. Maybe after this session, I'll get a recommendation on what is the next session I want to join on data analytics today, right? What are the next best action you want to take? If there is an issue happening on the network, if there is an unplanned outage happening on the network, what was the reason for that outage? And how can we ensure that the same outage doesn't happen again? And in the recent few years, it has evolved even further with the power of cognitive analytics. We are now interacting less with the people sometimes and more with the machines and the chatbots. We are basically using Google all the time, and it's building a knowledge graph under the cover. And most recently, there has been a lot of focus on metaverse, artificial, augmented reality, and mixed reality. So analytics has definitely grown a lot, and has definitely evolved a lot. With that, it has brought in a lot of different challenges for the businesses. right? With the amount of data being generated every day, and the volume of data being generated every day, and the variety of data being generated every day, and the speed of data being generated every day, it is becoming a problem for the technology leaders and the business leaders. Hey, how do we get all this data available in a timely manner? How do we make sure that this complex data sets are making sense to us, right? When you're bringing this data into your analytics ecosystems or platform or applications or solutions, it's not about the size and the volume of data. It's about the quality of the data. One bad data quality can send a bad message to a customer, and then they may end up paying $200 more than what they were supposed to pay. So the quality and reliability and trust becomes equally challenging nowadays. As organizations have started to invest more and more into analytics, everybody wants to do analytics, it has actually created a lot of data silos. Many different teams within the same organization are trying to solve the same problem differently. They're all trying to try to solve the same problem in their own domains, in their own world. So that is actually bringing up another challenge of data accessibility. Part of this is businesses don't have access to all the data. Part of this is businesses don't understand all the data because there's too much data, but very little time spent on understanding the data. Part of this is data is sitting on multiple different swamps. So how do you make this data accessible and usable and valuable? Those are some of the challenges. And last but not the least, right? There are a lot of goods about technologies. We are working in the technology space. Every day we keep hearing about a new technology product. Every day we keep hearing about a new awesome tool somebody's creating, some great startups, some big hyperscalers. It causes a lot more confusion for the business leaders and technology leaders. Hey, what is the right ecosystem for me? What are the right things for me to do my analytics rather than trying to look at every single tool every single day? It's actually causing more confusion than it would used to cause. And in order to tackle some of these business challenges and some of these opportunities, organizations have been performing analytics differently now. There were traditional ways of doing analytics, when customers and businesses and organizations will buy a lot of hardware upfront. They will install the hardware on their data centers. They will then buy a software. They will install the software. Then they will manage the hardware. They will manage the software, their applications on top of it. There used to be application support team, platform support team, system architecture, everything was running on-prem. And in many cases, it is the most efficient solution. However, with the advent of AWS over the last little over a decade now, and more recently with the Azure, GCP, Google, and you name it, I'm pretty sure there are somebody else, IBM and many other hyperscalers and public cloud providers, they looked at the pain points of the businesses and they started building this massive scale, economies of scales, cloud platforms in their own data centers, right? And they are providing a lot more flexible models to the businesses on, you can go and lease an infrastructure in their data center and then start installing software on the top of it, or you can use a more sophisticated platform as a service. An example of that can be a Databricks, which is underlying Spark, or from an analytics perspective, it can be analytics service running on the top of it, and then more managed services. An example of that can be a Power BI, where a business doesn't have to go and manage. It is all managed by the Azure or Microsoft in this case. And very recently, since companies who are using on-premises and they have done a tons of investments on on-premises, and the companies who also went into public cloud and they also learned the goods and bads of cloud, the companies there has been a shift in trends on hybrid cloud or private cloud or a combination of both, right? In this case, organizations are leveraging the best of the both. They are using the investments they've done on their on-prem infrastructure, and they're also using the power of cloud to basically augment the analytics. And for many specific cases, they are actually doing that for compliance and regulatory use cases. That's an example Thomas talked about in his previous slide, where they build pretty much a lot of the things on their internal private cloud because of the GDPR and other compliance regulation requirements. Moving on to the next slide. Working in the cloud space over the last 3 years, we have seen some tremendous benefits in how cloud can, accelerate the pace of innovation, right? We talked about doing real-time analytics. We talked about we want to do things now. The speed to market is the key now for the businesses. The agility is the key for the businesses. If you want to scale from one workload in analytics to multiple workloads in analytics, if you want to go bring in one data set to 50 data sets in no time, this is where cloud is giving you the scalability, cloud is giving you the agility and flexibility. You don't have to spend 6-7 months to procure a hardware, set up a hardware, and then you start building analytics on it. You can just go and click on the button, and then you spin up a new service, and then you can start incubating ideas. You can start rolling out solutions. You can start getting insights as you're building the infrastructure, right? One of the big advantages we have seen in the analytics space with the cloud now is it is helping businesses break the silos. It is bringing the businesses together. It is bringing business to look at the one common goal of what problems we are trying to solve and how can we solve it together, right? It is building the trust with the businesses. Hey, now that we have better access to data, now that we have a more trust on the quality of the data, right? It is helping building this, fostering this collaboration. We talk about in the previous slide, I talked about the advanced capabilities, and there are tons of things. People are using TensorFlows for doing image detection. People are using graph processing for knowledge bases. People are doing machine learning and advanced analytics for tons of use cases around, how can I predict the behavior of a customer? How can I predict the quality of this Zoom session we're having right now? I think that cloud is bringing you that advanced capabilities all in one place, for the lack of better word. So you don't have to go and build a separate infrastructure, separate systems, separate applications. It's all sitting in the same place for businesses to start taking the advantage of. That actually brings in the shift of focus for businesses. And this is actually a key benefit we have seen. We used to have people who were managing the infrastructure. We used to have 24/7 operational teams. All they were looking at the health of the platform. Is the platform lights on? Are the platform going down? As we started building new solutions, modernizing our solutions, analytical solution in the cloud, the focus has shifted from the operations to more of a business enablement. The focus has shifted from not doing the operations anymore, but how we solve the problems now. I think these are some of the big benefits I have seen of talking to the industry leaders working in this space over the last 3 years. It seems also cool, it seems also awesome, it's also cool, right? Why don't we do everything on cloud, right? It's also cool. I think for any successful journey, the mantra for success for me all comes down to people, process, and technology, right? What are your key OKRs? What are your objectives and key results? It always starts with defining your vision and your mission and what problem you're trying to solve. Always start with the what and then try to understand the why. I think somebody asked in the previous session about what are the use cases? How do you define the use cases? Do you want to go to cloud just because it's a cool tool everybody else is using? Or do you want to go to the cloud because you want to improve your total cost of ownership? Or you want to mature your organization to do more mature analytics? Or you want to do things now? Once you define your OKRs, once you define your vision, once you define your North Star, having the stakeholder alignment is very important. It's very critical and important to bring the business and the technology teams together. You can only be successful if all the businesses, all the stakeholders have the same goal, same understanding of the goals, right? After you have built the alignment, after you have defined the roadmap, the next step always comes down to roadmap and planning. Cloud is not a magic wand. Cloud doing analytics in cloud involves a lot of moving pieces. You have to look at, there are a lot of uncertainties. It's a journey. Make sure you spend time in building your roadmap. Make sure you spend time in building your success criteria. Make sure you spend your time in doing your planning. Once you have built your roadmap and planning, the next thing which I would highly suggest and focus on is building the prototypes. Do a lot of whiteboarding. Do a lot of brainstorming. As cloud brings in a lot of flexibilities and features, there are the other sides of clouds. There are too many technologies to choose also within cloud. What is the right thing for you, for your analytics, for your problems? Do you need to go and look at a Spark and there can be 3 different versions of Spark in the same cloud provider? Do you need to look at Tableau? Do you need to go and look at Power BI? What are the machine learning functions and features you need to look at? As we always hear about, drink your own wine, eat your own dog food. So don't rush. If you rush now, you're going to pay for it later. Spend time on doing your prototyping, build your MVPs, build your minimum likable products, learn from those. In order for you to do that, it always comes down to a team, right? We always hear that you can only be successful, a leader can only be successful, organization can only be successful if you have the strong team. And in the cloud analytics journey, you need a team which is open, which has an open mindset. It's a big shift in the culture. It's a big shift in how you are going to build solutions separately. It's not a migration, it's a modernization, right? A team has to learn to unlearn. How do you not do the mistakes? How do you not do the things which you have been doing for so long in the on-prem space? How do you do the things differently and better and efficiently? So having the right team with the right attitude is a key successful mantra there. After you have built your team, you've designed your prototypes, you've done, now you're ready for the fun. Before you go into start executing solutions, because hey, now we have cloud, we heard that cloud can solve the problems in like a minute, cloud is the magic wand. Let's go fast, right? Slow down, focus on building a strong foundation. It's like building a house. A house will last longer if you have a strong foundation. Once you have a strong foundation, then you can build a nice kitchen, then you can build a nice room, then you can have a nice color and everything else. But first, build your strong foundation. Build your infrastructure foundation, build your processes, build your DevOps, build your MLOps, build your process, sharing processes. As you define those things and you are building those solutions, the training becomes extremely critical and important. You're learning new things. Your business is learning new things. You're bringing in new tools. Some of the tools are really awesome, but it can be very, very overwhelming for your business. It can be super overwhelming for your technology team. Let's make sure that you have a training and enablement process in place. Let's make sure that you're constantly learning from the, your partners, you're learning from the hyperscalers, and you're sharing the knowledge and bringing this collaboration to each other. As you're evolving your journey, the next big thing is feedback loop. Don't assume everything is working fine. Take the feedback loop, bring your teams together, right? Go back, do retrospectives, go back, do introspectives, go and look at what is not working as you planned. It's always come down to fail fast, pivot fast. If something is not working, you don't want to spend too much time on, fixing it later. You take a pause, slow down, take a step back, make a change, and then continue to build on the top of it. Another big thing our learning in doing analytics in cloud is automation. We talk about, we have reduced operational people, we have reduced operational cost of managing infrastructure. At the same time, you want to make sure that you're building automation from the scratch. There are so many services, there are so many tools, there are technologies. Analytics is not just limited to reporting anymore, right? A lot of people are doing analytics now to explore the data, to ideate the data, right? Make sure you are doing resource onboarding. Make sure you're doing, people onboarding. It's all automated. Make sure if things are not being used, they are also automated so that you can clean those things, right? And last but not the least, security. Security can be an extremely daunting task if it's not designed the right way. So make sure that you are, building your security first architecture mindset to ensure that you have the right checks and right guardrails in place. Now, these are all the good things about how you can be successful. You have embarked on the journey. You build a lot of success. Things look good. What are things to look for after your post-implementation, after your launch, after all the success? You had celebration parties, you have wine and dine, and you did all the cool things, right? As you start getting into the real world and the reality, cost becomes a very important factor, a very key driver to look at. I think we all have heard about a lot of horror stories about cloud cost. Business leaders just wants to perform analytics. They care less about how you're building the data, how you're stitching the data, how you are, bringing all the data sets together. So make sure that you have the visibility in your cost. Make sure you're defining your cost models for showback and chargeback. Make sure you're looking at, you're doing insights analytics on cost. You're looking at, why there is a spike in the cost. In other words, why there is an anomaly in the cost. How come all of a sudden you woke up in the morning and your bank account is down by 20%? Is it because you did something really cool? Is it because there was a mistake done somebody? So having that insights, the granular insights, analytics on the cost is extremely critical to make sure that you are managing your budget very efficiently. Security, you have defined the security, you have done the security, but we are living in the world of too many bad actors. They're always looking at ways to get access to your data. They're always looking at ways to hack your identities. They're always looking at ways to rob your bank accounts. So always assume breach. Always do screen test. You go back and build some models. You go back and build some solutions to go and actually try to hack your own system. Do regular assessments of your security posture. Look at the gaps. Look at is your network designed the right way? Is your data encrypted? Is there a compliance requirement for which you cannot really put the data into the system? And all those the key pillars of security, make sure that you're constantly looking at those things. Since we talk about analytics, governance become extremely more critical. Cloud is giving us that ability to bring all the data now and making data accessible. And then people want to do more and more with the data. But is this data relevant? Are you providing the right data to the right people? Are you making sure the data has not been misused by those people? We also see in the analytics journey, analytics sometimes can be short-lived. There is a new service we launched today. We only want to look at what is the experience when we launch the service. After 6 months, it might not be as critical. So make sure that you are looking into the usage of analytics. Make sure that you're looking into the access patterns of your analytics, how you're using the analytics and how long you want to do the analytics. And if it is not been needed, there is no need to run the analytics anymore. Go and shut down your processes, go and shut down your access, go and shut down your permissions, go and reduce cost, right? Last but not the least, I think as you continue to onboard more analytics use cases, and you continue to onboard new workloads, as you continue to onboard more people, go back and look at the optimization opportunities. Your data will be growing significantly. Your analytics solutions might not be scaling the same way as your data is growing. At some point, it becomes no more scalable. Linear scalability becomes a good thing on the paper, but not on the reality, right? So make sure you go and continue to optimize your applications. Make sure you go and continue to optimize your analytics. Make sure you're continuously looking at, how can you reduce total cost of ownership by, making changes in the tweaks in your design, redesigning, recalibration. Those are some of the critical things to look for to continue to be on the successful path of cloud analytics, not just do it once and then forget it and then pay for it later. In the end, I will summarize with the 3 key takeaways. We have too many technologies now. We have too many solutions now. We have too many ways of doing analytics. In my opinion, simplify analytics. Do not confuse your business. Do not confuse the technology teams. Do not confuse your stakeholders. Keep the analytics as simple as possible. Focus on the goals and the outcomes and the use cases, not about the tools and technologies. That becomes secondary. Next thing is use existing skills for analytics. And this is, again, very, very important and critical because, again, you have machine learning, you have advanced analytics, you have, mixed reality, we have virtual reality. But maybe your organization has skills only to do traditional reporting analytics. You cannot do machine learning with a data engineer. Maybe one of the guys might be able to do that, but that's not your strength of the team. So focus on building analytics with existing skills. And then you have aspirations and goals to expand, bring in the right people into your team. Continue to upskill your team, continue to expand your team. And last but not the least, this is a common problem we have seen. Apply analytics close to the data. Let's not try to move data from multiple different hubs. And then because there's a cool tool sitting somewhere on somebody's desktop, bring analytics as close to data where the data is sitting as possible. That concludes my talk for today. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'll open the floor for any questions you guys may have.
Perfect, Vikas. Thank you very much for that. So we've got a few questions. What I'll do first, so Thapelo has asked about building a good data team, but what I'll do, Vikas, if it's okay with you, I know we've got a talk coming up later on about how to build a good data and BI and analytics team. So I'll leave that question to then. Mike has asked a couple of very intriguing questions. So he's kind of said, can you elaborate on how AR, MR, VR integrates into analytics? And then the second part of that question, and which cloud platform is best when you are mixing those things?
Excellent questions. Yeah. The first question, how does AI, ML, VR, AR, all the cool buzzwords we heard, how does that fit into analytics? A great question. I think it all comes down to what problems you're trying to solve. End of the day, in the previous talk, Thomas talked about how they want to build AI and ML to do a recommendation engine, right? There are multiple different ways you can do analytics on the top of that use case. Once you build your model, one of the insights and analytics a business team or analytics team want to do, or a data team want to do, is accuracy of the models. Are these model accurate? Are there any outliers? Are there any false positives? The other thing you want to do is, as you're sending those recommendations to your business users, you want to look at the trend of what the recommendation is doing. Is that bringing more opportunities back to your business? Is that bringing more customer base to you? Is that bringing, saving some cost for you? Is that improving your customer experience? And similarly, we are talking about, VR now. We are talking about having these cool HoloLenses and we want to go to a place and we want to go and fix a problem. If there is an industrial outage happening or an issue happening, you want to look at, while you're doing that fix on the fly using the VR and AR, you want to look at the analytics of the data to look at what is the make and mechanism, what are the key components, what were the outages you happened in past, what were the things you did in past to fix the similar problem, is there a similar problem happen somewhere else. So you leverage the analytics from what you have done other places and mix that into an area to actually solve a business problem.
Yep, perfect. And the last question before we let you go, Vikas, is someone's asked, besides the elements on vendor, cost, business size, operating model, etc., how do you ensure the right selection of the cloud model?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to a few key things, right? Pretty much all the hyperscalers are providing similar capabilities, right? I think it all comes down to your problems and where do you think one technology from one cloud provider might be a better suitable, relevant for you. I mean, as a business leaders, you cannot do that unless you have tested that water, right? So this is where you go and look at, the industry experts, you look at the Gartners of the world, you try to understand, what are the goods and bad for each provider. You go and look at what is your traditional current shop. Are you a Microsoft shop? Are you a kind of like a vendor agnostic shop? Or are you a shop where you are looking to, you want to basically do a quick prototype and looking at the actual evaluating and testing all those providers to identify what is the right solution for you. I believe all the hyperscalers are providing similar capabilities. It all comes down to your cost of ownership. It all comes down to sometimes how hungry they are for success, your success, how obsessed they are for you, right? And then obviously do prototyping and then look at the Gartner and the industry trends to identify the right solution for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Vikas, thank you very much. Great presentation, and really, really well done.